Thanks for joining Harry, Kevin, and myself for this month's educational video. Recently, we celebrated 157 years of Canada's founding as a nation. We have a strong and safe financial system, we've got a lot of natural beauty in our country, and plentiful natural resources. Now, no doubt there's a lot to be proud of as Canadians, but does that mean that we have to invest most of our assets in Canada? The short answer is no. And in today's video, Harry and I are going to explain to you why that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things always to remember is even though we love Canada, is Canada only makes up 3% of the world's stock market. It's also extremely concentrated. Resources make up, energy makes up 19%, financials make up 32%, and industrials make up 11%. And even despite this concentration and how small a factor that Canada plays in a world market, a lot of Canadians invest well over half of their investments in the Canadian market.
Yeah, and this is a trend that we see around the world with investors as well. It's something that we refer to as home bias. So investors not only in Canada, Americans, Australians, Europeans, all of us tend to invest in what we know, which is in our own country, in our own domestic stock markets. Now, in some instances, this could be an okay thing, but definitely having too much concentration as a Canadian investor in Canadian stocks can mean that you're missing out on diversification benefits and some growth opportunities.
There are several reasons why home bias exists. People invest in what they know. We hear about and utilize Canadian brands daily. The familiarity we have with Canadian companies lead many of us to invest in these same companies simply because we know more about them. Many of us even know friends and family who work for these companies, and this gives investors a bias to invest in those companies first and foremost. It's also easier to buy Canadian stocks. When buying Canadian stocks, you can buy in Canadian dollars. If you want to buy US stocks, you have to convert to US dollars. And if you want to buy European or Japanese stocks, you have to convert to other foreign currencies. This adds an extra element of risk and complication which stops many investors from bothering to consider international investments. Also, a lot of us start investing at the bank. We're young, it's the first place that we usually do anything financial. And many of the banks use cookie-cutter products, which tend to have high concentration in Canadian stocks.
If we look outside of our own borders, you can benefit from a world of opportunity, particularly when you look to our neighbors in the South in the United States. The United States is the biggest and most robust financial market in the world. Many of the best and biggest companies tend to be headquartered in America and listed on US stock exchanges. As Canadians, if we are not including US investments in our portfolios, we're missing out on huge growth potential. While technology represents 8% of the Canadian market, it represents 29% of the US market. Similarly, healthcare represents around 1% of the Canadian stock market, but 12% of the US market. These are just but two examples of sectors that are severely underweighted in Canadian indexes, but have a much better representation in the US market. Moreover, technology and healthcare tend to be very innovative sectors of the economy where we have a lot of huge potential for innovation, and which also leads to massive stock appreciation in many cases. So if you're shunning the US market and favoring the domestic stocks, you're definitely missing out on tremendous growth opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, and one of the other reasons why investing in Canada makes sense, especially if you have a low income. If you have an income $70,000 or under, Canadian investments, their dividends get what we call a dividend tax credit. And so you could almost, if the only income you're generating are these dividends, you could almost earn that $70,000 tax-free. There's minimal tax. So the tax advantage for low-income earners, definitely a big advantage for investing in Canada. But remember that TFSAs and RSPs do not have any benefit because the growth grows tax-free inside those. So for lower income individuals, they can take advantage of the dividend tax credit in non-registered and invest more in the US and international market inside their RSPs and TFSAs where these credits have no advantage.
As always, if you guys have any questions at all about your portfolio or its composition or anything else for that matter, don't hesitate to reach out to Harry, Kevin, or myself.
Take care.